Hello friends, welcome to my channel Sushant Chess Quiz. Today we are looking at the next topic, that is the Greek gift, also called the Greco's sacrifice. So let us see what is Greco's sacrifice or Greek gift and how we reach those positions. We identify it as a tactical motif or a mating pattern. Let's get to the position. E4, E6. We can get the Greco's type of idea from many openings, but it is most common from French defense. So let's get started. So this is the beginning starting position of the French defense. After E4, E6 is played, it's called French defense. The idea is to attack the center with D5 and that pawn is supported by the pawn. I am going to do detailed lesson on French defense and all. But let us understand what is Greco's sacrifice or Greek gift right now. Okay. So white played the move nc3. Here black can do bb4 or nf6, both are possible. I am not going into the opening details now. So black played nf6, white attacks the knight and the knight goes to d7. Black doesn't mind much about playing the knight to d7. The bishop looks stuck here, but once the pawns are going ahead and they are blocked by each other, so what happens? Black will immediately try to play c5 and break the pawn in the center. So that is the right theory over there. So white played nf3 here, and as I told you, c5 is the correct move, but this is a very old game. So black played bb4, which looks like a good move. Bishop got developed and it is pinning the knight. Okay, so white plays bishop d3. Right now there was no pressure on the knight, so d3 was perfectly fine. c5 is still good. Black took bishop into c3, which is actually totally pointless. Knight was still pinned. There was no reason to take the knight whatsoever. Pawn takes c3. Many people get fascinated by the doubled pawns. Okay, here doubled pawns are not weak. It is allowing open file to the rook. Okay. Doubled pawns are weak firstly if they fall on the open file. So opponent's file is not open. So right now this pawn is only helping the center and it has given one open file to the white's rook. And here black played the move castle. Okay, so we come to the starting position of the Greek gift. Let us understand what are the factors that make this sacrifice or the mating pattern idea successful. First, we need to have a pawn on e5 which will control the f6 and d6 squares. Okay, this knight will not be able to come to f6. Second, we need one attacker bishop on h7. We need support to the square g5. The knight wants to land on g5 without getting taken by the queen. So see, the c1 bishop is required. Sometimes the same thing can be done by a pawn on h4 also. And the main motive is after bishop h7 check, king h7, knight moves to g5 with a check, the queen must be able to join on h5. So these are the basic requirements of a Greek gift sacrifice. So what we want? We want a pawn on e5, we want after bh7 knight to come to g5, and third we want the queen to join the attack by queen h5. For black what we want? We usually want a pawn on e6, because at the end of sacrifice we don't want this bishop to come to f5 and support the h7 square. Let's get started now. White to play and win from here. I'll go into more details as we progress. So bishop h7 check. It looks very early for the sacrifice because white has just developed two pieces. But see the speed of the attack now. King h7. Here actually castle was totally mistaken. So knight g5 check. And now we will look at all the variations. So king has 1, 2, 3 and 4 possibilities, out of which king h6 mostly loses instantly. Most of the time knight moves to e6. See, bishop is giving check, and after see knight e6 or knight f7 check, king has to move, then knight into queen. The queen is taken. So king h6 is most of the time ruled out because of this discovered check idea. Same happens to king h8. King h8 is also ruled out because queen jumps to h5 with a check, forced kg8 and qh7 checkmate. So the testing line is usually king g6. This is the most testing line. This will test whether the sacrifice of bh7 followed by ng5 works or doesn't work. That will be our main line. We'll come to that later. Another main move is kg8. After kg8, white comes queen to h5, threatens mate on h7. Now we see that moving the f pawn to f6 or f5 doesn't help, because the knight is controlling the f7 square. So queen h7 still mates. Now the only move is rook e8, and here we see this pattern which is going to be very useful. See, this Greek gift sacrifice in itself at this point has various patterns. Sometimes this knight can be present on e7 square also. The winning idea is slightly different there. Today I am doing the first chapter of Greek gift sacrifice, so I am teaching you the basics of this. We will be doing many more games of Greek gift sacrifice. Now see what happens. If we try to do qh7 check, king f8, queen h8 check, ke7, then we will have to take qg7. In this special case, because b pawn has moved, see, bishop a3 check is also very useful. But we see the move c5 still holding the game, because bishop c5, then knight into c5, and the queen is hanging here. So I cannot do d into c5. But we can easily say that after qg7 also f7 is attacked, and this is also a very good position for white. He got 2 pawns for the piece. Rook f8 forced, and knight can move and threaten g5 check. But white has got a forced win over there. So after rook e8, white should go for queen f7 check. See, understand the pattern. We are going to reach the same position without the f7 pawn. And what difference it makes? Let's see. King goes to h8, queen h5 check, king again rushes back to g8 forced, queen h7 check, king f8 forced, queen h8 check, similar position to the previous line without the f7 pawn. So after ke7, now see, qg7 is checked, and not only that, see, the d6 square is guarded by the pawn. So it's a checkmate now. That was the role of the e5 pawn. Okay. Let's go back and see what other things were happening because of the e5 pawn. If e5 pawn was not there, then knight could come to f6 and defend the mate on h7. Maybe the queen is attacked, so the queen will have to move, and then white will require much more time to again attack the knight and do qh7. So meanwhile black can get the other knight to protect this, and maybe black is winning in this position. Okay, but because of the e5 pawn, so e5 pawn has two roles. One, it stops the king from reaching d6. Second, it stops the knight to come to f. Now if knight f6, then ef6, queen f6, gf, whatever, then qh7 is checkmate. So finally now we have got the kg6 side. Here after the move kg6, there are three methods that white has. Okay, so what are the three methods we will see? First, most obvious is queen check from d3. Okay, it immediately causes some problem. Second is the move qg4, creating a discovered attack on the file. And third, h4. Let us try to see which one will work, and in many cases at least two works, or in some cases all the three can work. Let's see qd3 first, because it's a check. So after qd3, if the king moves, then there is a forced mate. King moves to, let's say, h5, then qh7 check. Let's play. King has to go to g4, and we see the move queen to h3. See, the f5 square is guarded with the queen, f4 is guarded by the bishop, knight is supported by the bishop, so it has become a checkmate. But the problem is, after qd3 check, black has f5, and after e into f6, n percent creating a check, king takes f6, and this position, nf7 check, knight h7 check, kf7, knight into f8, king into f8, we will see that black has escaped from all the mating ideas. Of course, materially white has got 2 pawns, rook and 2 pawns for 2 pieces, but white's attack is gone. So black will be still happy with this position. King is not looking that great, but the position is still fine, okay for black. Okay, so qd3 check is not best in this case. The second idea QG4 works very well here. See now what happens? First threat is knight into E6 check. Okay, knight is going to E6, king moves to H7, then QG7 mate. That is the threat. Okay, so now what will happen? If black moves the queen just to get away from the discovered attack, then knight E6 queen. Let's say I'll just show you. Knight E6 check. King has to go to H7, then QG7 mates. Okay, so it is forced to attack the queen now. So after F5, now if the rook is not there or if the queen is not supporting the rook, then the move queen H4 is very strong. It threatens queen H7 mate. But here we have got rook H8. So that idea will not work. So if queen was on E7, white would have won by the move QH4. So white plays QG3 here. Now see, again it is forced to attack the queen. King cannot escape. King moves to H5 or H6, then queen H3 check and QH7 mates. So again the pawn attacks the queen forced, and one problem with this QG4 right now is queen into G5. Okay, so I think QG4 is a blunder here because queen takes G5. So bishop F4 is forced. So after bishop F4, if the king comes to F5, not much of a problem because king is just coming out. We can do the move F3 followed by queen G4 check, KG6, knight E6 check, and white wins the game. Let's see. Even if knight F6 is played, then E into F6 gives a winning position. And the third try, that is the move H4. This works very well when white has not castled because the rook should support the H pawn. Now the threat is very simple. H5 check. King has no place on H7. So threat is see H5 check. King has to go to H6, then knight E6 check, winning the queen. Okay, that is the threat. And we see that the move rook H8, because the rook is on H1, the move rook H8 doesn't help because H5. Now rook into H5. This would have worked if white had castled. Okay, but now comes queen check. King has to come to F5. Now amongst many moves here, G4 is mating one. Okay. Otherwise there are other ways also. Queen H3 check, KG6, QH7. This is another mating pattern. Okay. Many mating patterns work over here, but G4 was a direct checkmate. So we learned here that the H4 move is also very strong. And now we see moving the pawn F6, F5. Okay, nothing helps. After F5, H5 check, King H6, and we can do knight into E6 check, and the queen is lost. Here we are not getting a mate, but the queen is lost. This was all about the Greek gift sacrifice. This was the basics of this position, and we are going to do more detailed study about this sacrifice. I hope you enjoyed this lesson. Do like, share, and subscribe the channel. Thanks for your time.